try to sort of look at your data more closely in order to find the sort of define difference. Because one problem with this paper is, as you kept saying, this is not surprising. So the question is, if you have, you look at the behavior of small and medium enterprises across these several policy areas, you find that they underperform, they always and all of them underperform, and this is not, this is sad, but it's not unexpected. So one way to sort of try to tease out a more, and then you make this huge step towards policy choices, which is not justified by your data, because you take an ideal case and you say, okay, now this we should apply to Romania. But it is not clear why it would work. So what I suggest, first of all, is that to find a point of comparison. One way would be to compare Romania's system, what you find in these small and medium enterprises systematically to another place. I think Helen is a bit too far. So if you can find in Central and Eastern Europe, in a similar country with similar factor endowments, a different kind of behavior.
So you go for a closer country? You go for a closer country?
I'd go for a closer comparison, because then you'll know what policy options are available. It's not always, I mean, you can have an ideal proposal, but certain things like reforming financial institutions is very much not up to Romania, because the foreign banks are foreign banks and they reform in the way they want. So this link is hard to make. But I think what is sort of more plausible based on your data and more interesting from my point of view as a political economist is to look for a comparison within your sample. Because you describe a lot what the general state is, but this is also a technical suggestion. Boast a bit more of what you've done. So tell us exactly what you found. It is an amazing empirical sample. Tell us about the sample. So how many micro, small and medium enterprises are within the sample, what they do, countries, companies.
More background data.
Yeah, because but also look at their behavior if you can find any kind of variation. Because of course, companies which are suppliers to large international companies will be more affected by the international crisis than local companies, or will be affected through different channels, and maybe they will respond in a different way. Also, whether some of them do more or less, because a provision of education is a market failure also for large companies. They don't provide education unless they really need to, because that is extra.
Or they do in-house.
Or they do in-house training, but only when they need it. So they don't provide general skills, they provide specific skills. So also, in that sense, it's important to give a bit more of the policy background, because you say that they don't send their employees to training courses, but you don't tell us what kind of training courses are there. So it's not clear what they can do.
Yeah, we had that in the survey, didn't touch it.
And then also to talk about, so you have the access to EU funds, but some countries, and if Romania doesn't, then you should say it, have also national funds for small and medium enterprises. So how this can be or cannot be transferred, what channels are there for them to help it, and then if they don't use it, that's a huge problem. But then this is the policy focus that you should talk about, because talking about it more generally, because the things you list from Helen's experience are more measures towards the labor market, so towards workers, not so much towards the enterprises themselves. So you should look more for measures which are directly applicable to the enterprises. And another thing is, so you say that you will look at what I found most interesting is that you will talk about entrepreneurial, so entrepreneurship and how they deal with the crisis, but you actually find that they don't. I mean, they lay off workers, they stop working, that's not very entrepreneurial, it's sort of necessary reaction. So if you can find cases which act differently, even if there's a very small number, you can do case studies, which then you can infer sort of the more useful policy proposals from. So I suggest you sit at your data and look at a more detailed level if you can.
Yeah, I could get you up here, but...
I think that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to answer something?
No, I take it because it is very good feedback. This research will be part of my final PhD paper that is due to be done, I think, a year and a half. from now. So it will be there, of course, with adjustments and more information.
Is that one dissertation written by some people?
No, actually, what happened, I can give funding to conduct this research, so I think people on the ground, and I was just telling them on.
I should have a presentation how to get your funding then. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned that the data says that most of the people want their taxes to lower or set to have their business or to remove this
Minimal tax.
Minimal tax and also the high taxes are problematic. Then you talked about the policies that is socially oriented. So it's kind of controversial. If you want like socially oriented policies that will help you with high taxes. And if you want to have a business that says that taxes are too high, so they have to hire people, it's but sorry if I'm not in economic
That's a good point of view. I guess that happens because the companies that we interviewed were actually small. They had like an average of 5 employees. So the thinking of the manager probably is not very broad. So he or she only knows what directly affects the business when you go to the town and have to deal with the local government, regional, national government, and they usually don't think too broadly. So probably that's something that I should pay more attention to.
Just one thing about your questions. I guess they were multiple choice.
Some of them.
I was surprised about
The survey contains more many questions. These were just a few.
Yeah. Did you have a section for I don't know? Or because there were so much people who were saying.
Yes, or maybe they were lazy not to yeah, I don't know. So your idea would be to just drop it
No,
and share the research.
I was just surprised. I mean, if that shows people are not caring and do not care about the survey, then the people who do care, I mean, does it show that the others really do care, or they just,
Well, to be honest, I don't know exactly. Probably some of them didn't want to bother thinking too much about it.
Maybe I just have one comment. So you got 170 cases out of how many of total cases?
No, we had on the ground, we actually visited 117 companies. Some of the managers answered like on the ground, but many of them asked for more time to gather the data because they had some accounting data, and then they sent the survey back to us by email or phone.
I'm just asking because of the case selection.
The selection.
The case selection, if you want to draw any conclusions afterwards, you have to say how you draw the case selection, and is the sample actually representative of the population of the first in the population?
So you're talking about statistically significant.
Yes. If you're going to use any kind of analysis afterwards.
Yeah, we basically went to talk to managers who responded to our inquiry, initial inquiry, and we had access to a database from a small and medium-sized organization that we work with. So we tried to have access to companies that are active in various fields, but eventually we went to those that respond and answer the data.
Thank you very much.
So they are not statistically significant for the year.
Thank you all for coming today and for speaking through all the presentations.